The thing that was very interesting was as this app really took off and people started using it, we could see the gap between what people thought was possible and what actually had been possible for quite some time.
Right.
And I think to me, this is actually maybe the biggest takeaway, is that I really want us as a company and as a field to be informing people, to make sure that they know what's possible, what's not, kind of what the forefront is going to look like and where things are going. Because I think that's actually really important to figure out how to absorb this in society. Like, how do we actually get all the positives and how do we mitigate the negatives? I remember reading Alan Turing's 1950 paper on the Turing Test. And the thing that really stuck out to me, and this was right after high school, was he said, look, you're never going to program a machine to solve this problem. Instead, you need a machine that can actually learn how to do it. And that, for me, was the aha moment. The idea that you could have a machine that could solve problems that I could not, that no human could figure out how to solve. Like, that so clearly could be so transformational, right? There's all these challenges, global warming, climate, just like medicine for everyone, like all these things that are kind of out of reach.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're going to do it. But if you could use machines to aid in that process, we want to. The thing that's so interesting is normally if you have a technology in search of a problem, adoption is hard. It's a new technology. Everyone has to change their business. They don't know where it fits in. For AI, for language in particular, every business is already a language business. Right. Every flow is a language flow. And so if you can add a little bit of value, then everyone wants it. And I think that is the fundamental thing that really has driven the adoption and the excitement, is that it just fits into what everyone already wants to do. But yeah, I think this suggests, give you ideas, really, in writing, it's like the blank page problem. But I think this, for me, is where generative AI can really shine, right? Is really about sort of unblocking you, giving you ideas, and just giving you an assistant that is willing to do whatever you want 24/7.
And so the ChatGPT's been deployed to millions. Has there been anything that's really shocked you or surprised you and how people have been utilizing it?
We see people within OpenAI who aren't native English speakers use it to improve their writing. And that at first, that there was someone within OpenAI who is suddenly you could just tell that the writing style of everything changed, and it was just like way more fluid and honestly, way more understandable. And at first we're like, what just happened? And he literally at one point had hired someone to do the writing for him. But that was actually really hard. It was just like a lot of overhead, and he wasn't able to get the points across. But with ChatGPT, he really was able to. And I think that for me is just like so interesting to see that people just use it as this aid, this cognitive aid, to think just more clearly and to communicate with others.
And what have you learned from how people are misusing it?
Yep. Well, misuse is definitely also very core to what we think about. Part of why we wanted to put this out there was to get feedback, to see how people use it for good and for bad, and to continually tune. And honestly, one of the biggest things that we've seen, we always anticipate all the different things that might go wrong. For GPT-3, we really focused on misinformation, and that actually the most common abuse vector was generating spam for drugs, for various medicines. And so you don't necessarily see the problems around the corner. For ChatGPT, one thing we've just seen is people just creating thousands or hundreds of thousands of accounts in order to just be able to use it much more. Some people generating lots of spam. It's clear that people are using it for all sorts of different things. You should expect that even with the current ChatGPT, we've released like 4 or 5 different versions since December, and they've gotten a lot better. Factuality improves. That hallucinations are a problem people talk about. Those have improved. A lot of the jailbreaks that used to work don't work anymore, and that is because of the post-training process. And so I would expect that we will have systems that are much more calibrated, that are able to sort of check their own work, that are able to be much more calibrated on when they should refuse, when they should help you, but also that are able to help you solve more ambitious tasks. You can start asking to write whole functions for you, or you write the skeleton of writing a bot in this way. And I think that where we're going to go is towards systems that can help you be much more like a manager, right? Where you can really be like, okay, I want a software system that's architected in this way, and the system goes and it writes a lot of the pieces and it actually tests them and runs them. And I think this kind of like moving to giving everyone a promotion, right? Like making you into more of the bumping you up a couple pay grades. I think literally and figuratively. I think that's like the kind of thing that they will do.
So the future of ChatGPT is we're all getting a promotion.
I think so. I think so.